Hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Our guest today, he had a time where he hit rock bottom, like many of us, and he has turned that around and become a huge success story. We're going to learn about all of that and more. It's coming up. We've got the host, creator, and writer of the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast with Sean and Dustin. Give it up, my friend, Sean Dustin.
My name is Brian Shinborn. I'm an explorer of people, places, and culture. In my travels, spanning over 20 countries across 4 continents, I've had the pleasure of engaging in authentic conversations with amazingly interesting people. These are their stories, on location and unfiltered. Presented by 8B Media, this is Half the City.
So where were we at, man? We were right at, we stopped at...
Yeah, you wrapped it up right as just before you went to prison.
Okay.
So you went to jail for a couple days, brought in by the SWAT team, and then you came back out, and then you switched from the drugs into fraud.
Oh yeah, and I was gonna kill that dude because
you're gonna kill that.
He taxed me. They showed up. It had already been planned. So what ended up happening is they stopped me, throw me in the car. It's about 100 degrees, like 110 degrees in the back of that damn car, middle of summer. And all I can remember is like, dude, I just want to go to sleep. It's like, the weight was off of my shoulders. I don't have to run anymore. I know I'm going to go where I'm sleeping tonight. I knew where I was sleeping, most of the nights anyway. Yeah. But it was just, it was just a relief, actually. It's like, fuck, finally, I can get this shit over with. And I couldn't stay awake, man. I was like this. I just kept falling asleep because it was like, that's all I wanted to do is just go to sleep. I've been up for like 3 days trying to.
In the back of the cab or in the back of, in the cell?
No, in the back of the cop car like this. So I'm just like asleep, man. They haven't even gotten to the end of the car to go. And so the detective that came was the same one that had got me in the first time.
And sweet.
Yeah.
I bet he was thrilled to see you.
Oh, he's like...
He was waiting for it, right?
I knew you'd show up sometime.
Yeah.
You pop back up somewhere. And, I was like, he's like, so, from what we got in your last house, he's like, I know you've already got a whole bunch of shit accumulated again. So he's like, if you're already going down because we have a ride along and that shotgun's going to be a federal offense now. So we'll not file charges on you if you take me to your house and give me all of your shit.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm serious.
That sounds like a fucking trap, dude.
No, I did it. I was like, I didn't care. I called my ex. I called my chick up. I said, hey, man, I got arrested and I'm on my way there with the police right now because I got to give them all my shit. And they didn't care about the meth that was there, the fucking, the pipes or anything. All they wanted was my what I was doing. And so I gave them all the computer stuff. I gave them all of the, I had blanks. I'd figured out how to duplicate the Social Security cards too, and like the Secret Service dude, because I had them on a sheet, and they had the all the stuff that you should have, all the security features and everything else, and they didn't believe me that they weren't real. They thought that I'd stolen them from like the Social Security Administration.
Wow,
because they were in sheets, right? And I'm like, dude, I did that. So you want to give me a job?
we got a spot for you in the mint.
Yeah, right. And so anyways, I ended up going away, fought my case. I was supposed to get a 12 to 15. For some reason, the judge just did not like me because I was a predator. I was having these people that were strung out doing all my stuff for me, and she was like, you weren't. It's not like you were selling dime bags in the fucking park, mister. Right. So I was like, all right, man, whatever. So I ended up getting a 15 to 60, and I paroled out in like
8 years.
No, 15 to 60 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I paroled out in 18 months, and then it was then I went to federal. Prison. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know if you know anybody that's ever been to prison or
I mean, I've been to jail a couple of times. You know, I spent my 18th birthday in jail. I was in jail for a month over some stupid shit.
Yeah.
But you know, so I don't know. I know some people that have been to prison, but they haven't. Well, one person that made it out died a couple of years ago, but we never really reconnected after that. He was kind of a piece of shit before.
Yeah. It's funny how that works, huh?
Right. But he came out as like a neo-Nazi fucking, yeah, like super racist piece of shit. Which was funny because his best friend was Mexican. However that works.
I don't hate tacos. All right.
But no, so I don't know a lot of people that have been to prison. You know,
I'm sure you've seen, movies.
Mhm.
You've seen, the what is that?
you get like the outdoor areas, like recess or some shit. You can lift weights or whatever else.
Recess,
Right? Kind
of. Well, no, you don't get any of that stuff anymore. Like, we were doing, lifting bags of fucking sand and water bags, and you know what I mean, just trying to do stuff like that because they don't really give you a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because they just don't want the inmates getting bigger than the guards.
Right.
Some places you would go and dudes would be just like fucking yacked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And fuck, what are you gonna do with that, man? You have to fucking put that. You're gonna have to put that dude down.
Yeah. No, I think the closest I've come to prison, at least the feel of it, I think, would be when I went to jail in Tokyo. So it was a stupid situation. I was in Tokyo. I with a group of friends at this grad school business trip thing, right? So like it was 20 of us, and I'd just been elected class president somehow. I don't even fucking know, but like whatever. And we were out in Tokyo partying, dude. And we bumped into this guy who was like the home run king of Japanese baseball league, and he bought us a fucking the giant Magnum of sake.
Yeah.
He paid for our whole dinner. Just kind of like randomly bumped into him in some sushi place. Yeah. And later that night, we're walking around, and me and like two other buddies would go into this bar, and I'd go to get them some beers, come back. Like when I go back, they're gone. And next thing I know, I'm waking up in the fucking streets of Tokyo, like 3:00 in the fucking morning. No idea where I'm at. Nothing is in English, right? I think I find the hotel, but the gate's closed, right? So I hop the fence. I hop this gate. It's 6-8 foot tall, like cinder block brick gate, right? Fucking hop that thing. I'm beating on the door, fucking 3:00 in the morning, right? Let me in. Nobody's answering. Finally, I'm just like, fuck it. There's like a hedge bush, like on the inside of the gate, like next to the wall. So I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna like squeeze myself between there and pass the fuck out. These cops wake me up, fucking take me in. Everything's Japanese. They don't speak English at all, dude. Like at all, right? So they're just like making me stand in line with all these fucking Japanese guys and shit, and like they're just yelling, they're just like barking shit in Japanese, like a World War II like POW fucking yeah. And then they give you there's probably a 20 by 20 foot room cell where you and like I don't know 5-10 other people fucking are sitting in there. There's no seats. It's just kind of a padded floor, kind of like a wrestling mat or something. Like those high school wrestling mats, kind of like that feel.
Yeah.
And you just sat there with this fucking group of other dudes I was there for 3 days, but like the weird thing is like Japan's also this it's very volcanic, right? A lot of seismic activity. And so their buildings are like earthquake proof, right?
Yeah.
So like you're sitting in there and you could feel the floor fucking shifting, like as the building's swaying in the air or whatever. Yeah, they're serving you meals and it's all like straight up Japanese food, and I'm like, I can do this. It's like rice and sushi and shit like that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. They had a cigarette break every day, dude. Every day you get your shot. You can go to a separate room where they give you cigarettes for free, and you have like 15 minutes to house as many as you can. So I'd go through and like just fucking suck down like 3 of them because I'm just like, yes, I fucking got this. Yeah. And then I eventually got out because like the I don't know, the detective or whoever the prosecuting police officer, whatever, someone was talking to me, and this Japanese guy spoke English, and I'm like, look, he wanted me to sign this piece of paper. It was like, you apologize, and you did not mean to shame their family, and like all this other stuff. And they're like, if you sign this, it was all in Japanese, and they're like, if you sign this, you can go. You're free. Charges are dropped. And I'm sitting here going, I have no idea what the fuck I'm signing right now, dude. It's all in Japanese. What if I'm actually signing my life away? I got no fucking clue, dude. So I'm like, I want to talk to somebody. So they bring in the fucking U.S. Embassy consulate guy. He comes in, he sits down. He looks like fucking. You ever seen Scrubs? Like,
I vaguely
or whatever, but like so like this one guy was kind of like at like a widow's peak. Like I think he might have been in Top Gun too. I know those are really random references, but could have been in those. This guy looks like him, fucking speaking perfectly clear English to me because he's American, right? And he told me the same thing. He's like, look, they'll drop the charges. They just want you to apologize and say you didn't want to bring shame on either of our houses and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, all right. And he goes, well, he's like, do that. He's like, charge be dropped. You can go home. Then he goes, at the end of the day, at least you can say you got something in common with Mick Jagger. And I'm just like, thanks, dude. Why? Because we both spent time in Tokyo, like
Tokyo jail.
Tokyo jail. Again, it's not prison. It's not prison. But like that to me, like that was the most like foreign, like, when I was in jail for a couple of days here and there in the States, and they don't give you cigarette breaks.
No, you don't get that.
No, you get a concrete bed.
The only cigarettes you get in jail are the ones that you pack in your suitcase on your way when you come from state prison and you go into city. Like, so I did do that. So when I had to like I didn't have any money. So when you're in transit, you know what I mean? You can't, like, when you're going to go stay somewhere, you don't know how long you're going to be. So you don't want to tie your money up on the books with their commissary because your money takes a while to follow you. And so what you do is you pack your ass full of fucking tobacco and matches and fucking rolling papers. And as soon as you get there,
shit's currency, right? Shit's got to be gold there.
Yep, you shit that shit out. Pull that suitcase out. I mean, it was disgusting. It was disgusting, man. I didn't, I probably wouldn't have done it if the amount of money that I had on my books wasn't. I had like about $1,000 something bucks on my books, so I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna tie up that much money in somewhere. So I ended up making like, dude, $100 in commissary. As soon as I landed, because I just rolled up pinners. You know what I mean? my hands smelled like fucking poop because you gotta. Yeah, it wasn't an easy process. So like it was almost a whole 24 hours that I had to like not shit and not eat anything and not drink any. Well, I could drink something, but I didn't eat anything or.
Wait, did you stash it in your ass? Were you like you were shoving packs of cigarettes in your asshole?
No, not packs.
Oh, wow, that's impressive, dude. Hold on.
not packs, bro.
All right.
You're
putting butts in your butt. That's basically.
You're putting like at least it's just loose tobacco, right? That's how they sell.
That you roll, right?
Like Bugler.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what it is. You pack about fucking 30 or 40 cigarettes worth, like pinners, and you know what I mean, and some matches and
damn.
Fucking, yeah, and you pack it in there and you fucking wrap it up, shove it in there, and fucking
That's impressive. You're kind of like how do you get it from state though? Can you get cigarettes in state prison? It's just not federal.
Yeah, in Nevada you could. So federal you could. But this was in my transit, so I had to go from state prison. When they released me out of there, I had to go back to Las Vegas, go sit in the city jail, and wait for the feds to come and pick me up and take me on. And that was like a month and a half journey because once you were in
city jail.
Well, yeah, that was about a month. But then once I left city jail, it was about another month and a half to get all the way to Oregon.
Oh
So
shit.
I went,
Okay.
yeah. So I went all the way down through this place called what is it? Something Florence, Arizona, where it's like there's nine private prisons in this town in Arizona.
Damn.
So all this is a prison town. It's just the population is prison workers. And then from there up to Victorville, from Victorville to Dublin, and from Dublin up to Oregon.
Mm.
So I mean, it was a while. Man, it took me a minute. They call that diesel therapy because you're just going from place to place to place, and like you don't need. They put you in. They're not supposed to put you in with like general population because you're already sentenced to prison. So it's like they don't want you like mingling with them. So you usually we get your own unit wherever you stop. But yeah, I end up in Oregon, go to federal prison. I didn't get in a whole lot of fights when I was in state prison. I mean, I seen some crazy shit, man. I seen a dude get fucking hot pots, right? So they heat their water for soups and coffee and whatnot. Well, sometimes they'll take baby oil because you can get baby oil, and when they want to fuck somebody up, they'll heat up the baby oil, and they'll just fucking douse somebody with it, and it doesn't stop burning because it's oil. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so they hit some dude in his cell, man, and just fucking all skin was coming off and everything.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's crazy.
So I mean, I didn't get involved in anything like that, but I mean, like I was on my best behavior, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, you see it though, regardless. You know what I mean? Like that's an experience, man.
Yeah, it's funny when you think you're hard, and then you get somewhere where everybody else is pretty much harder than you are, and you're just like, all right, well,
right?
I ain't got shit to say.
Funny.
Got a bunch of tattoos when I was in federal prison. That's the one thing when you get tattoos there, they're cheap as fuck. I bet you bet you can't get tattooed out here for soup, top ramen.
Yeah, no shit. But I mean, are they like rigging is it like a jerry rigged ink gun or like what is like?
Yeah, so they'll take the motor out of like back then they had still have Walkmans and cassette things or even electric razors because it's got the thing that moves, right? Anything like that, and then they'll take a Bic pen and then they'll sharpen up a needle like maybe a paper clip or something and attach it to it. And it's just a single needle, and then they'll burn baby oil and catch the soot and in a bag, right? And then they'll take that soot and mix it in the baby oil, and that's the black ink. It doesn't last for a long time, and sometimes they'll even burn chess pieces, the black chess pieces, and collect that and use that in like either baby oil or soap or something. I don't know what they mix it with, but. I mean, it breaks up. You know what I mean? It doesn't keep like real ink does, right? Because it's not really ink.
No, I mean it's color.
Yeah,
but it's like ash essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I did all right there. Got in great shape. Did a bunch of cool stuff. I mean, not like just working on myself, trying to figure out, where things went wrong, where I was going to go from there. I ended up rolling back out. Instead of going to Vegas, I switched my jurisdiction to California, back to my mom's. And then from there, it took me probably about a good 6 months to decompress from just hating other races because you're forced to be segregated. And not hating, but just, you know what I mean? You're used to not associating with, because I was running with the whites, so we didn't associate with the blacks. You're not allowed to eat after a black person. If you break any of these rules, you're subject to getting touched up or consequences or whatever. So I mean, there's still politics in there, but it's not as bad as like a maximum security.
I didn't realize it was segregated.
Well, I mean, you people talk to each other, but I mean, you're not going to see a whole lot of other races mixing together. They just pretty much kind of stay to themselves.
Is it segregated by like the general population, or is it more by like the workers?
That's the general population. Yeah, no, the general population does it. And so that it really, when I got out, I ended up getting married for all the wrong reasons. I met this chick in NA or no, in AA. I tried to go to Alcoholics Anonymous and be good and do all that. I ended up getting into the union. Was an apprentice in the same union I'm in right now. And then 2008 came, and the crash, the big crash in the economy, and I was out of a job and had a lot of time on my hands, and knew exactly where I needed to go because I'm back in my old area, so I know who all the old people were that I used to, because I was doing this stuff back when I was in junior or in high school. So them same people, they didn't go very far. I mean, they're still around, and so I found them, and I went AWOL from my marriage for about 3 months. Just bounced, gone. I didn't answer the phone to my mom, to anybody. I just left. And it got to the point where, you know, they figured out I was making checks and fucking IDs in my room down there. You know, I think what did I do when I got a job at this one place? I'm not gonna say where it was, but I got a job at this one place as a bartender, and it was like a seasonal thing because it was a fair, right? And it only ran fairs. You know, county fairs run what, maybe 2 months, a month, maybe. And I figured out that they don't count the or they count the cups to keep track of the beer, right? And so, but there's nothing else that they have to do that. And so, but they don't keep track of how many cups that they gave you. And so, so I figured out how to, you know what I mean, how to manipulate how to manipulate the system. I would turn the thing towards me, right, that tells them how much it was, and I just got it into my head, like, you know, they're round numbers, so $6, you know, $8, and so, you know, they come up, all right, that's $21, and I just hit the cash out, right, and just put a tick down on what it was, and so I'm keeping track of how much money I need to take out of that register, right, and how much I need to turn in, so there's no mistaking it. And so I was able to really buy my laptop from that. I ended up making like $500-600 a day plus whatever tips I was getting. And so that's how I re-got most of my stuff, like clothes, and got my laptop, so I go back to work again. And go back to work again. And so, yeah, that's what I did, man. I just started hanging paper, hanging out with all these people. I knew that there was credit card fraud out there that I wanted to do, right? Because when I got out, I wasn't done. There was still things that I had on my agenda that I wanted to accomplish. It's as crazy as that sounds, right? But I knew that there was this type of crime out there that was white collar, and that you could make and track your own credit cards, you know, put the information on the back, press them out. I knew this was all out there, but I just had to find the right person to show me how to do it. And one of my buddies knew somebody who was in that game, and they made the connection. And then here's the second time, me and this dude just bond, a bromance, you know what I mean? And I was literally, dude, we were stuck at the hip. He was teaching me everything that he knew about all the shit. Like, even to where all of his homeboys that people, like, I'm somebody new coming in and just like has all of his time, and like, you know what I mean? And so all these people were starting to get like jealous, and they're like,
well, like, you came in salty, man. You already knew what you're doing, right?
No, I ain't really hard to. Well, I knew how to do paper. I didn't know how to do plastic.
Oh, okay.
He showed me how to do all that stuff, and you know, we did a lot. We did a lot of dirt together, man. A lot of stuff that we were doing, I can't even talk about because, you know, that could possibly lead to consequences. But it was crazy. I was in San Francisco. We had we had 2 offices. One where we collected all the information, where I was, you know, doing research for trying to get like credit cards issued in my name by other people, you know, learning how different things worked. We were able to get into, like, just from having somebody's social security number and a little bit of their information, I would find out what bank this credit card went to, because the credit cards tell you what bank they are. The first 4 numbers is what bank it is. And so, you know, we would get the number, and we were able to check all of these accounts because we had their social too. So we just punch in the last four, and we'd see how much money they got available on this credit card, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we would just press them out and go do what we were doing. And so he ended up leaving because he was with a chick that he really liked, and she was like legit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She was a pharmaceutical rep, you know, had a real job, and she was fucking with this dude, and like he was trying to hold on to that. And so he was all right, well, I'm going to change, and I'm out of the game. And so we split ways. And I ended up doing, coming back, catching another violation. I had to go to, I was in this drug rehab. And so I was able to convince them, like after about, I don't know, maybe not 90 days. It was a 90-day program. Maybe after halfway through there, I was able to convince him that I got a job, and he was actually the one that made up the letterhead and everything else. And so I was able to get my truck there, leave every day, go to San Francisco, stay high all day long, come back. And I fucked myself because I went and I did some GHB before I left, and I ended up doing the same thing, man. I fucking ended up somewhere else where I didn't know where I was going, and I missed my curfew, and I had to sober up. And it was about midnight when I got home. Luckily, I had some synthetic urine, and when I had, because they knew, they're like, "So you're fucked up. You need to take a UA." And so they had one of the clients go in because there was only a female staff member, so she couldn't come in and watch me take a piss, and he wasn't going to watch me take a piss. So I'm just like pissing with this fake urine, you know, and I get it. I passed the test, right? And all the counselors, everybody's like, bullshit, you're fucking dirty, man. We know you're dirty. And I'm like, I ain't taking another test. I ain't taking another test. I gave it to you, man. You either take it or leave it. And so they're like, you know what? They had a big meeting about it, and they're like, dude, we know you're foul, so we're kicking you out. And it was like 8 days before I was going to graduate.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Dude, that's fucked. And
so my probation officer, she was a woman, and so I threw tears on, you know what I mean, all this stuff to get her to get sympathy, you know, please, and that's how I got there to begin with, right? Because she could have sent me back to prison.
Yeah.
And so this time she was like, no, fuck you. You're going to county. You're going to go do some time in jail. And so I did. And so what got me to stop doing drugs was I knew that I was going on this trip, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be kicking in county jail because it's a lot dangerous than it is in prison, right? You got a bunch of cowboys in there that think they know what prison's like, and little gangbangers and people trying to make a name for themselves. And so I stopped like a month before I was supposed to turn myself in. And I stopped smoking, stopped doing that, got in there, did my time, got out. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to keep this up. I started doing other things, like playing slow pitch softball, like adult slow pitch softball. I changed my whole, like.
Fucking love softball, dude.
Oh, yeah, dude. I got into it, man. I got into it. So, like, I go hard. If I'm going in on something, man, I go hard as fuck.
Yep.
You know, until I burn myself out of it.
Yep.
And then I know everything about it, dude. I've got every bat they possibly make. You know what I mean? And I even started like doing bat returns. You know what I mean? Like I would get broken bats from people. I would change the receipt. Like I figured out how to make receipts for these bats, like by buying some and then changing some of the numbers, and they didn't track it. And so I'd get brand new bats sent to me all the time, and in turn I'll sell them. So I mean, I'm always something, like I have to like be involved in something. I mean, even now I do, but it's not even that bad now. Now it's just some little stupid ass shit. But I mean, it's like I feel like I always gotta like get over somehow a little bit. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. I don't care, man. Just I gotta stick it to the man just for a second.
Right. Get him.
So yeah, I ended up doing that, I didn't like how that league was being run. So this was really the beginning of me actually building myself back up. Uh,
Nice.
so I decided, I was like, dude, I don't like how this league is. I'm gonna start my own softball league. And so I did. I started my own city league and started running that. Did it for about a couple seasons. From there, I was like, oh fuck, if I could do this, well then I want to be a tournament director, because I want to start running tournaments now and doing all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing that. And then I started, from the money that I was making from running tournaments, I would take and put that money into my own team, co-ed team that I sponsored.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Vegas. We went and played all kinds of like
Nice.
Madness, like Midnight Madness in
Mm-hmm.
Vegas and all world tournaments and stuff. That was just like little things like that gave me the confidence to realize, like, well, fuck, if you can do this, then why can't you do this? And then once I did this, I'm like, well, then fuck, why can't you do this?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one after the other. And then, pretty soon here we are. There's a lot more to that story. But I mean, that's kind of the gist of it. And then, once all the substances and everything were gone out of my life, I fell prey to opiates, man. I got hooked on opiates in 2000. I'm going to say 2006, 7, maybe 2009.
Oh, pills like Oxy and shit like that, or
Norco.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was taking them for like 7 years, and I got to the point where I was, spending an extra $500 a month on an extra script.
Damn.
And so I stopped doing that probably, I would say 6 months before I started this podcast. And the reason why I stopped doing that, I was like, well, how are you going to talk to anybody about any kind of shit when you're fraudulent yourself right now? You're still taking pills, you're, doing all this other stuff. And so I stopped, and then, because my podcast I'd already got everything for it. Like, I'd had it for a year, and I'd just been sitting on it, I kept talking myself out of it, basically. Like, dude, who wants to hear you? What do you have to say to anybody? Yeah. You know what I mean? You go sit down, punk. You ain't got shit to say. No one wants to hear you.
Not funny how that works, man. First of all, cheers to that, dude. That's a good ass fucking story. I'm gonna grab another beer really quick. Hold on a second. But yeah, dude, like that's a fucking wild ass story, man. I want to know, like, what, like, I mean, you said you decided not to do it anymore, but like, what was the decision? Like, what was going through your head when, like, or did it just hit you one day and you're like, man, fuck it, I'm not going to do this shit anymore?
No, because before I went on that violation and did the 90 days, I was trying to get back with my chick, my ex-wife, and it was, I don't know, man. It was almost like, so I was chasing her on the freeway, like we were hitting high speeds, and finally she was like, dude, you're fucking crazy. And she pulled over and stopped and like, what are you doing? You're gonna fucking kill us. And I was just like, I was just it's like I didn't know where to go. You know what I mean? It's like she doesn't want me. My family, they're turning their back on me. Temporarily, you know what I mean? They're just like, hey, dude, you can't, if this is how you're going to be, you can't stay here anymore. And she was like, fuck, I'm tired of you using me. And, I was just like at this wall, and I'm like, fuck, where do I go? you know what I mean? And it's like everything just came crashing down at one time, man. And I was on the side of the freeway, and I was just like bawling uncontrollably, dude. Just like, fuck, like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And how do I fix this? And I was just tired of hearing myself, and just as much as everybody else was tired of hearing me telling them how it's going to be different this time. You know how addicts are. Sure. It's always going to be different this time, Yep. And I just got tired of it, man. I was living at home, didn't have a pot to piss in, a window to throw it out. Everything that I'd ever gotten, I'd fucking squandered away. Even like cars that my dad had given me, that were my grandparents, Mercedes. It's fucking just didn't give a fuck, man. You know what I mean? It was, I just got tired of being that dude. And, I got a daughter out there that, it's just, you just start, you just can't help but to look at like, or I couldn't help but to look at all of the damage that I caused in my wake when I look back, and I'm just like, it's almost like if I look back from here all the way to my childhood, I'm like, dude, it's like a fucking massive tornado went through a small town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just what it looked like. It's like, fuck, I did all this damage, and like, how am I gonna fix it? I got a little bit of time and distance away from it by being in jail. And that 90 days I wasn't on anything, and so when I came out I was just, all right, let's just try and keep this up.
And you're level-headed and
yes, a little bit, man. But it takes about 2 years to level out, man, from fucking meth. Your serotonin levels are all off, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, I dabbled with it a little bit, but it wasn't that long. A few times here and there over the course of a couple of months. But for me, it was like it was the day after, like that, just fucking, or the next day or 2 or 3, or however long it took to get out of your system. I'm just like, fuck this, dude.
Yeah.
So I wasn't there to get too involved in that, but I sampled. I fucking dabbled.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, so I didn't know it might take 2 years to get out of your system. I would just think, like, dude, if you're clean for like 30 days, like, I mean, I would imagine you probably your head probably feels pretty clear.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends, and how long and what you were doing, and how long you were using it.
Right. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, for sure.
And so it ended up just. It's all the way I can describe it was, have you ever done ecstasy?
Yeah.
And maybe you've done like a night where you hit like maybe 4 or 5 pills, and then when you come down off of that, like how your emotions are all fucked up.
You're fucking so dead to the world. Like your emotions are fucked up. You're depressed. You can't eat shit.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah.
So it's just same thing, just not as intense, but it's just you're still like you just don't feel right. You feel off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just almost like you're walking like a dog looks at you. And you're just sort of walking through life like that, and until you can lift your head and go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm normal again. All right.
Well, I think about, so I mean, just kind of talk about the other thing on the front end of that conversation you were talking about. Talking about just accomplishing fucking big shit and getting bigger and bigger, right? Like I got nothing but respect for that, dude. Like that's what I'm consistently working on. Like I after my military time, and which was a fucked up period anyways, like so you talk about growing up and having a tornado. Mine was more like from 19 until present, basically. Like I had my I'm 38, I had my PTSD event 3 months before 9/11. Yeah, and it fucked me up, dude. And for me, it's like I did a lot of partying, did a lot of fucking. dude, my vices were booze and women, dude.
Yeah.
And smoke a little bit of weed here and there, but there was a long time, probably from like 24 to probably a good 10 years or so.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything really other than beer, right? Beer and scotch. But man, I fucking it fucks you up. You don't realize what the kind of life you're living, until you look back on it, But it's always been, working on bigger and better things, even though struggling along the way, right? So like I worked my way up corporate for like 12 years. I got an MBA from a good school. But I also went to jail in Tokyo when I was in grad school, right? And, I got married and my wife left me after 2 years, right? Like, the good with the bad, it's just kind of it's all rolled in there, But the thing is, doing big things, like, after my corporate time, I did this, I produced a English Premier League event in Australia, right? And I've been working on this, but working on some other projects as well. And like with this one, it's kind of similar to what you're talking about, right? It's like just actually fucking doing it. For me, it's like, I know fucking so many people, dude, and all I gotta do is fucking give them a quick text or a phone call and be like, hey, let's do this. But like, I'm just kind of like, I'm lazy about it, I guess, right? Or like even before, like when I launched this show back in November, so it's been about 6 months, something like that. but the first like 8 episodes I had them in my computer stored for like 4 months at that point. And I was I was like, oh, but my website's not quite ready, or this and that, and the other thing's it's not quite ready, it's not ready. I just sat on it for like 3-4 months. Finally, just like, a friend of mine gave me a swift kick in the ass, and he said, Brian, just fucking do it. Just fucking push that shit out there.
Yeah, because they're all gonna suck. You know what I mean? All your first ones are gonna suck.
Yeah. But you embrace the suck. That's what it is. Because whether it's podcasts or whether it's working out, whether it's throwing, putting on tournaments or other sporting events or fucking writing books or whatever the fuck else you might be doing, it's gonna suck the first, so many hours of doing it.
Yep. Right? Until you find your, like I was talking to somebody today, and I was like, he asked me a question about, so what do you think, since you've started, you've got 35 episodes now, and how do you think you're progressing?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what it kind of is like, I feel like I got my mic personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mic personality is starting to come out. Like I'm getting comfortable on the mic. I'm not. Yeah, my regular who I am is starting to show to everybody instead of just like in little pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll get glimpses of who you really are because you're not really comfortable with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Or you're learning how to, whatever it is. And so
yeah. What I think is interesting about it, have you used mics before, like in the past, prior to doing this, or? Okay, really. So like for me, like I grew up, I was in a punk band in high school. I sang, I played bass, I was in jazz band, some other shit too. I played drums, and bass, and sang. And so I've been kind of around mics for a long time. So the getting used to the mic thing wasn't necessarily the issue for me. It was more or less like realizing that there's different things that I share with different people in my life. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm not saying I'm like hiding shit, but like, if it's more like if it comes up, we'll talk, right? So people have like different slivers of who I am.
Yeah.
So then they hear, like the whole premise is bringing on super interesting people, like swapping stories and shit, right? Just fucking telling some shit. And like I've got family members, for cousins or whatever, for example, that probably have never heard me swear. Grew up in a strong Catholic family. They're all Catholic, right? They probably never heard me swear at the family gatherings.
Yeah.
And talking through this shit, like, dude, every other fucking word I've got is a curse, right? I got a fucking Marine mouth, man. I can't help it.
Yeah.
I don't care because those words are meaningless to me, right? It's just filler as far as I'm concerned. But it was realizing that I have different, people see me through different lenses.
Yeah.
Right? Depending on who I know. And the kind of the scary thing for me was, okay, A, is the content good enough, right? But like B, what are all these people going to think when they start seeing different versions of me than what they know, or hearing different versions of me of what they know? I'm like,
Yeah.
They're going to be like, Brian, who are you? Or like, well, Brian, that's so cool. Like, or whatever, they'd be appalled or they can be stoked, like anywhere in between.
So which Brian are you today?
I feel like I don't even know you.
Yeah, I thought that too, man. Because some of the stuff that I talk about, I mean, I don't hold it back, man. I mean, even if it's like something that would be super shameful, you know what I mean, like shit that you do when you're a kid, I mean, if I've gone through it, I guarantee you, there's other people that are going through it.
Yep.
And
that's exactly it, man. I mean, it's so easy. Like when you're going through something, it's so easy to think like you're the only one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But dude, there's so many fucking people that have been out there and had similar experiences. Not the same set of experiences necessarily, but like, there's tons of people that have gone to jail, tons of people that have gone to prison, right?
Yeah.
For all sorts of different types of shit. There's tons of people that fucking were stupid little kids. Everyone was a stupid little kid that did stupid shit,
Tons of people that did a lot of the shit that I did, but just never got caught.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, I mean that's really what it's all about for me now, is just trying to take my experiences and my story and turn it into a book or three, depending, because there's three different parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I'm doing it the other way around, not the book first. I'm trying to build an organic audience first.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I go to do this book, or if it ever gets done, when it gets done, I've already got a base of people that are there because of my story and want more of it and want, you know what I mean? They're already following me. It's organic. It's not the follow for follow, like for like, you know what I mean? That shit that they do in that group.
Right.
Because what's the purpose of having 10,000 followers when only
nobody
1,000?
listens. No one's engaged, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so, and then I have all these other ideas, because I'm a blue collar dude. I work in a union. They actually just called me today and asked me if I want to go back to work on Monday, and I'm like, no, no.
Do I want to go back to work?
No. I said I'm on disability until the 18th, and depending on how I feel, I may be on it till the 18th of June.
I just got my disability fucking back in February, March, something like that. I don't know, but I finally got my military disability pay, dude. I fought for that for fucking 18 years. 18 fucking years and 4 legal battles. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But that's part of my story, right? And so, and I guess kind of along the lines of what you're talking about, my first intention with the podcast stuff is I wanted to tell my story. Right. But that started because I had this desire that I had to write a book about it. Right. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm getting really into podcasts, that kind of stuff. This is probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that. Then I was like, you know what? I'm like, I should do a podcast about this. So I started putting together, started outlining the whole thing, started building that. And that's actually it's a 3-season series. Right. So it's about the same length as yours from what I'm understanding. But I also decided around that time that I was putting that together, I was in this veteran entrepreneur program at a WeWork in Seattle. And I was surrounded by a bunch of really smart, talented, hardened veterans that have become entrepreneurs. And some of them are like, yo, Brian's like, they're like, you should do a talk show. You should fucking interview us, for example. And I was like, all right. And so then I started doing this, right? And then I was like, oh, okay. I do know a lot of fucking people, so I'm just going to fucking talk to people. And as I'm doing that, I'm building my audience, 8B Media's audience, all of that stuff. So it'll be, a softer sell for my story when it gets out there as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, kind of where I'm stuck at right now is the whole just the writing the book part of it. It's like, I mean, literally, what I could probably do is just do everything that
do what I told you earlier, dude. It's just record it like a podcast. Just tell your story orally into a microphone.
Yeah,
and then you can go to there's a couple of websites out there, like Otter.ai. Actually, I'm not sponsored by them, but they do a really good job transcribing it. You just upload the audio when you're done with it, and it takes 20, 30 minutes. I mean, you got to go through and scrub it because it's not perfect, but it's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
And then all you got to do to turn it into a book is just take the timestamps out of it, basically.
And then do you send it to an editor and they piece it together and
they help clean it up and stuff? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, well, this would probably be better over here. And, that's cool.
Yeah, they can storyboard it. Mm-hmm.
And then, also too, just we're just this space right here.
Yeah.
What we're doing, there's something here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because the situation that we're in now, more people are coming to this platform. And I'll talk to you about my idea once we get off of this. But yeah, there's something there, man. And yeah, so I don't know. I'm trying to work my way out of what I'm doing because I'm 46, man.
Yeah,
I got 18 more years. There's no way I got 18 more years in me in construction. No way.
Right. And besides, dude, this is the dream, right? You're just fucking hanging out, talking to people, fucking having a good time. The thing that sucks is we can't get physically near and do it because I like doing in-person interviews myself, but
I do too. I mean, they're cleaner sound. You know, you don't have to worry about anything else. But I mean, it's at the end of the day, man. People are going to listen to your content. They're going to listen to it whether you got it cleaned up, whether you
oh yeah, for sure,
put the burp out or not. You know,
well, I'm not going to. So
yeah,
I don't care.
That's because it's people, man. We're people. This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's people. It's authentic, man. I think people like the authenticity aspect right now because we're in a world where things are so fake or have been.
Dude, the world's fucking crazy. I can't believe, dude, in this year alone, we've had fucking a possible war with Iran. What else? We have the coronavirus. Nobody can travel. Most people can't even really leave their homes in the entire world.
Yeah, yeah.
Some places can't go from city to city or state to state or province to province, whatever. Almost nobody can travel internationally right now, dude. You know?
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
The only thing that's saving people's sanity right now is the internet.
Yeah. This kind of stuff, you know what I mean? If I wasn't talking to as many people as I was talking to in the last 6 weeks, going on 7, dude, I'd be going nuts.
Yeah, but also like you think about this, dude. I mean, not only is the internet the saving grace, but with all that shit. Sorry, this was the point I was originally getting to, but I'm a little stoned right now, so I lost my train of thought. But like, because I'm sitting there going, what was I gonna say? No, but like even with all that shit that happened in this year alone, we just entered the 5th month. The Pentagon released proof that there are aliens just like yesterday or 2 days ago, and nobody gave a fuck. No one. They declassified these videos with UFOs, like the Air Force or Navy pilots or whatever, like tailing these fucking UFOs, dude. That's proof of aliens. And nobody's going, oh my God, it's crazy, or oh my God, that's so cool. People are just like, okay.
Yeah. But it's misdirection, dude. When you want to, this thing is taking over so much of of what's happening in the media right now. I mean, it's just on overload of because there's nothing else going on. There's no sports. There ain't shit. So all they can do is just
show, man.
Yeah, all they can do is just find other stuff. So when they put this out, like everybody's either they're just like yeah whatever, and just tired of hearing. I just don't think people believe the government anymore, man. They just lie too much.
I mean,
they're just.
I don't think you can blame anyone.
No. I mean, shit. I mean, they fucking introduced crack cocaine into the inner cities.
Mm-hmm.
The CIA and Oliver North and the Contras and all of that stuff. Freeway Rick Ross.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a real thing. I mean, it was proven. So I mean, if you're going to do that to your own population, and that's pretty bad. And the blacks have had it bad for fucking ever.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's
no contest, man. It's been fucking hundreds of years, man.
And they're still getting it. Corona's getting them.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know, man. I hope some good shit comes out of this. Some equality a little bit. Maybe I thought that we should have all went on a general strike since everybody's getting paid right now to sit at home,
right?
And you don't have to worry about because what's the hardest thing if you're going to go on strike? It's me as a union member, is not making money.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't if you don't have the savings to back you up or any income coming in or at least somebody else, whatever.
Right.
You're not gonna stand up and fight because you're like, fuck, I gotta go to work. I gotta go pay. I got bills to pay, man.
Mm-hmm.
But we're all in a situation where we don't have to worry about that. So I mean, at the very least, everybody should be on a general strike right now trying to get a UBI and Medicare for all, because how many people are out of work right now and are losing their Medicare, their medical coverage because it's employee paid.
Because it's attached, because it's attached to employees, dude. It's fucking ridiculous.
So I don't know, man. I think we should get a Medicare thing. And I've been talking to people from like Canada, and I was asking them like, dude, what? So tell me about your medical system. You know what I mean? Because I hear like bad shit about it all the time.
Yeah.
And that the socialism deal, the argument that they make for trying to nationalize healthcare. And she's like, I've never had a problem. And I lived in England too, and never had a problem there.
Yep.
You know,
I've got Canadian, British friends. They've never had a fucking bad word to say.
Yeah, except I didn't have a $2,000 deductible. That's gold to me.
It didn't fucking bankrupt me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I use this time actually, man, to just get to know people, their situations, ask questions, and talk to people that when I want to know something. I mean, kind of like what Rogan does, man. He gets people on that he has. Like he has questions about something and he doesn't know, then he'll bring somebody on that knows and he can ask the questions that he wants to find out about. You know, I don't have like super, people like him, but I mean, whoever I'm talking to, I mean, if they've got like an interesting subject, then I'll definitely ask more about it, or have something to chime in about. Yeah. So.
Absolutely, man. I feel like we hit a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked enough.
We got a solid 2.5 hours, I think, something like that. So, well, this one's 105. I think the one before was like 90 minutes. It was pretty close.
Okay, yeah, that one was pretty long.
Yeah, but right on, dude. That'll work. Yeah, give it up for my friend Sean Dustin. That's it.
Yep.
Wait, no, hold on. Is that what I say at the end? I forget now. Hold on.
You don't know your own sign out.
Anything you want to plug real quick?
Oh yeah. Oh, plug. Yeah, my podcast. I have one, right? Yeah. Well, you can find me at Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, or Nowhere to Go But Up. That's my name of my podcast. I'm on Spotify, Stitcher, all the major platforms, iHeartRadio,
Apple Podcasts.
Yep. And then
that's the big one.
You can find me all my places, social media, Facebook group, anywhere that I'm at, merchandise, all of that. You can find that on my link tree, and then you can put that in your show notes, and that's really all you need. All you need is that link tree.
Right on, man.
All right.
Sean Dustin, everyone. Peace.
All right, brother.
You've been listening to Half the City with Brian Shinborn, presented by 8B Media. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your friends, and leave a solid 5-star review to ensure these stories get spread far and wide. For more information, as well as to listen to other shows, including Relentless, a survivor's search for passion, purpose, and inner peace, and Beyond Relentless, be sure to check out 8bmedia.com. Thank you for listening.